All right, so this is micarta. And what makes up micarta is a lot broader than the other materials. For example, G10 will always be glass and epoxy, but micarta is like, it can be a ton of different things paired with epoxy. So this is canvas and epoxy, but there's also linen micarta, there's also burlap micarta, paper micarta, jute micarta, jeans. People use jeans to make micarta, jean micarta, I guess that's what you would call it. So for the same reason, there's some micarta that is not as grippy as other micarta. There's some micarta that's not as tough as other micarta because of the materials that they use. But in generally speaking, micarta is tougher than G10, just because like all those materials I mentioned are tougher than glass though, so glass and epoxy. Same thing, micarta is in general grippier too than G10 or metal, because when you finish it, you still have all those fibers at the surface, basically all that material at the surface that causes your handle to have a better grip. One of the pluses that I like about micarta is well, for one thing, okay, there's a lot of choices in color, but same thing for G10, and G10 actually has colors that are more solid and more vibrant. They're more colorful. But one of the big pluses that I like about micarta is that because people make them out of like a ton of different things, visually you can choose a ton of colors, but you can also combine that with materials that are being used to make for a lot of contrast. So for example, jute and all that stuff, and then burlap, things that have larger fibers, are going to have visually a lot more contrast to something like this. Let me show you actually, which is canvas. It has some much smaller fibers, which will finish a lot more uniform than something with larger fibers. So, and for example, as an example, I have these, and this has been used a lot. It's been smudged and stuff like that. So this is actually the same micarta as this. I actually cut it out from a piece of this, but I used as a liner a different type of micarta, and as you can see, I mean, the color is very similar, but the material gives it a nice contrast, at least in my opinion, which is why I used it. So it gives you artistically, there's a lot more combinations and choices in micarta than other materials, in my opinion, just because of that, because of the visual, the not just color, the visual aspect of texture. I know texture's touch. I don't know how else to explain it. There's like a visual texture that's added to the overall choice. Here's another example, and this is jute. So as you can see, the fibers are a lot thicker on this. Let's see if I can actually get it to focus. There you go. But like I said, things that are the differences of grippiness and toughness, in my opinion, this is not as tough as canvas micarta, because here you can see, so this has copper liners, and you can actually see the copper there, the transparency of it. So there's a lot more epoxy. There's a lot more by itself that's not being reinforced by the fibers than there is in this canvas. And because of that, yeah, I believe it's more fragile. Also, this is not as grippy as this. This feels more like G10 than it does micarta, just because of that. Just because of the amount of epoxy that's in this thing. but visually, very nice. Yeah. All right.